session. We don't enter into special sessions lightly. I know how challenging these experiences are for all of us, but notably for those that are entrusted to advance that process. So let me start by expressing deep gratitude to the Pro Tem and the Speaker that have been extraordinary partners since they've ascended into their respective roles across a myriad of issues, but have been particularly supportive of the process that ultimately unfolded here. We can get consumed by the circular nature of that process unfolding, but there was no question in my mind, there was no doubt in my mind that we would be back here as we were a year or so ago in advancing the cause that we had advanced with the original special session. I made this point a year ago. I'll make it again today. And it's in the spirit of what the Pro Tem just said. Success as it relates to addressing the issue of prices in this state, gas prices in particular, is not a process or rather a destination itself, meaning there is no having made it. It's something that unfolds over the period of time. There's humility in that process. There's a deep understanding that this is not the final word as it relates to the issue of gas prices in the state of California. Quite the contrary. But what we were able to do last year allowed us to see underneath the proverbial tent, to look in and rather insert a point of view, to truly understand and validate a point of view, and ultimately understand that one of the principal issues that was holding back our capacity to tame these price spikes was the issue around supply, issues around maintenance, issues around refineries. And we're here today because of the progress we made a year or so ago. And that progress continues now with the CEC. Remember, this bill basically now allows for a secondary process to unfold at the California Energy Commission to assess this market, to consider what those supply demands are, to consider all the health and human service issues that were brought up during these 20 hours of testimony, to bring up worker safety issues, to bring up the concerns that were expressed around costs, indirect or direct, to expose a lot of the mistruths and manipulation on the other side, particularly WISPA and their talking points, and big oil that knowingly continues to lie to the people of this state, our nation, for that matter, around the world. They are the polluted heart of this climate crisis. They continue to lie, and they continue to manipulate, and they're taking advantage of you. And this should be universal. Universal. 37 million gallons a day are purchased in the state of California, and they have been raking in unprecedented profits because they can. Because they take advantage of you. They take advantage of emotion. They take advantage of the fact they have a massive economic advantage. They buy their manipulation. Politicians, industry groups, front groups, organizations that are created out of thin air, dark money that they put in. And they've been fleecing you for decades and decades, billions and billions and billions of dollars. Hardworking people, just as the Speaker said, just trying to make ends meet, get to work, take care of their kids, and they're screwing you. They've been screwing you for years and years and years. There's no other way to put it. You can't sugarcoat this. And they lied again over the course of the last few weeks. And they'll continue to lie. And what I'm so proud of is that we stood up. We didn't step back. Everybody here had the courage of their convictions. And they stood tall, and it wasn't easy. I mean, we saw what happened here. You see it over and over and over and over again. You see it all across the country. But what you don't see happening across the country is the kind of courage that these folks behind me demonstrated. So to the authors, some of them are Hart, Agua Curry, Senator Skinner, and every one of the folks that were entrusted in this special session to stand tall, to ask the tough questions. Thank you for asking the tough questions. To stress test this idea. Thank you for having the backs of hardworking people in this state. It's about time. Big oil does not have your back, period. Full stop. This is not complicated. It's right and wrong. Been lying to you year in, year out. Price of crude oil goes down. There's no increase in taxes. You're seeing gas prices drop across the rest of the country, but spike in California. And they buy all these ads saying somehow it's California's fault. They've been manipulating you. They've been lying to you. They've been playing you over and over and over again. And every single one of you, every single person reporting on this, every single person in front of the camera, behind the camera, you have been screwed by these companies. Not complicated. And forgive me for being so pointed. It's exhausting. And what's also exhausting, with all due respect, I was walking with my kids yesterday out there on the coast in Inverness. And, we're trying to explain a little bit of what just happened in Florida over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. This is all connected. It's not complex. Places, lifestyles, tradition. We had an ex-president of the United States threatening once again firefighters, emergency response, just down in Southern California just 48 hours ago, threatening with a related cost. Talk about, again, a polluted mindset. And I don't know, you couldn't pay me enough to regurgitate the talking points of WISPA. The hell, why do people need to do that? Don't they care about their kids and grandkids, our future? Places, lifestyles, tradition. Ask the folks in Grizzly Flats, in Greenville, California. Well, I don't have to remind you of Paradise, California. Unprecedented heat waves every single damn year. Wake up. Talk about costs. They don't pay a damn penny as they socialize that pollution and that burden on generations. I think that former same president wanted $1 billion. That's all we need. Just $1 billion. He'll roll back all these regulations. That's how corrupt our system has become. And again, why I'm so damn proud of the folks in this rotunda, in this room right now. So to every single one of you, I know this wasn't easy. I know it was a pain. I can only imagine the stuff you said behind my back. But I honestly think this is a point of pride, and it's a point of privilege that we had this opportunity. And we stood up. Let's not overstate this. Let's not overpromise here. Again, process that unfolds over time. But it's about time. It's about time we stood up. And I'll close on this. This is the 4th largest market in the world. This is a big damn deal. We're not some small isolated state. 4th largest market in the world, right behind the United States, China, and Brazil. This is a big deal. And as was stated before, this is, I think Senator Skinner said it, a model for the nation. And I'll just close on that in the spirit of, the Greeks. We do not imitate. We're proud, for we are a model to others. With that, we're here to answer any questions. Thank you all. Thank you, guys.
And Mr. Governor, good afternoon. It's Eitan Wallace here with 8 Next Star stations across California. First of all, thank you to those who are here, who have shared their perspectives with us at the news business over the last few weeks. We appreciate you sharing that with me on camera. I really do appreciate to some of you, so thank you. Speaking of those here, I see folks representing everywhere from Winters, San Diego, everywhere north. And we have heard it. We have heard some of the criticism here. Just bear with me for a moment, then I'll get your response. Everybody from Chevron to even some fellow Democrats to the governors of Nevada and Arizona who are concerned that this will actually increase prices. So the reason I started by asking about folks in Winters and the folks in Berkeley and wherever else, can you guarantee to them unlike what we've heard from the governors of Arizona and Nevada and some in the oil industry, that this will lower their gas prices?
Well, let me correct in respect. I know you're referring to a letter that we received from the governors of Nevada and Arizona. I just want to follow up that we've had follow-up conversations, both those governors and their administrations. They expressed only concerns, and understandably so, because the impacts on those gas price spikes here in California impact their taxpayers directly. I'll remind you, just 2 years ago, it was $2.61 above the national average. Last year, it was $2.55 above the national average, at a time when global crude prices had stabilized or declined. We saw a spike increase of $2.61. That absolutely concerns people in Nevada and in Arizona. And so what I can say to them is, now we have the tools, and we're providing a process where the CEC will deeply analyze all the considerations and concerns, do the cost-benefit analysis, and provide a tool that has not existed in the past to actually address those spikes. And I would suggest this. I do think it's interesting, and I'm not suggesting causation here, but it is interesting that this year we did not see the kind of price spikes that we saw in the last 2 years. I just think that's interesting. I leave that to your more objective analysis. We now have the ability to address those price spikes. I don't want to overstate, I don't want to overpromise, but we now have the tools.
Thank you, Governor. Sophie Austin with the Associated Press. Some lawmakers have expressed concerns about how, even though you all are taking action today aimed at preventing gas prices from spiking, that CARB will soon make updates to the low carbon fuel standard, which could raise overall gas prices. What do you say to those concerns?
Well, there's no evidence that there's any correlation between the credits, LCFS, and the cost of gasoline, period, full stop. That's a process that's unfolding in real time. Public comment, they're engaging folks. They've already made a number of amendments as it relates to their original proposal, and independent CARB will make that determination. LCFS, by the way, has been supported by a lot of the groups that opposed last year's special session and opposed this bill, which is important to note, and I think is important for readers to understand. Number two, it's also been a huge benefit to the taxpayers of the state of California. I mean, look at specifically what's happened now with diesel and renewable diesel. Look at the health benefits just associated with that. Look at the cost benefits under LCFS. It's one of the most significant environmental proposals that was advanced in this state in the last quarter century, and it's being replicated around the rest of the country and around the rest of the world for a reason. So I would just assess all of that in the context of those new concerns that we just started to see up on our TV set as they started to throw every conceivable argument against this effort, and they were falling flat, so they decided to move to a totally new target. We'll have plenty of time to discuss that as it unfolds, but it's in an iterative process as it relates to the final proposal, and that's months away.
Hi, Governor. Ashley Zavala with KCRA3. I am going to follow up on that LCFS question, just because
you guys have already moved off this.
No. Well, it's in an attempt to be able to explain to California drivers, just to level set their expectations at the pump as this rulemaking process begins. The LCFS process is underway, as you have said, but in less than a month, they're scheduled to vote on that.
Yep.
And CARB, at the moment, the LA Times reported last week that they're not providing an update to the estimate that it might cost consumers. And I reached out to CARB on Friday. I have yet to hear back. I asked them, is that true? Do you not plan on publicly updating people on what the potential cost at the pump could be? So do you think it's fair to California drivers for people to not know what those LCFS standards mean at the pump?
Well, LCFS is not a brand new construct. It's been well established for years and years and years and years. There's a process that's consistent to the process they've had in the past. They put up some estimates. They put up updated estimates, so they have been transparent in that respect. To the degree that they should provide more, I'm for more transparency, absolutely, from that perspective. So to answer your question, I think more is better. I mean, that's the spirit of this special session. It's the spirit of why I'm here today signing this bill. But I do think it's important to talk about the substance and the merits of LCFF and how it's made a big impact on our low-carbon green growth agenda in the state of California. It's helped to pave the way to having 7 times more green-collar jobs than we have fossil fuel jobs. I'll repeat that, 7x more jobs in this sector. It's one of the reasons guys like Elon Musk and others have become so damn successful. Is because we've set price signals, we've created markets, we've created opportunities for investment. We're the #1 manufacturer in the state for a reason. We continue to be the envy of the world in these policies, and LCFS is a big, big part of that.
Just to quickly clarify, so you're the boss.
Well, I'm not the dictator.
Well, but will you direct CARB?
The Coastal Commission.
Will you direct CARB then to provide an estimate before that vote?
I think it's important to be, I think you heard exactly what I said. I'll repeat it. I think it's important to be transparent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Governor. Laura Fitzgerald with Capitol Public Radio. So some experts definitely agree that, economic experts agree that this will lower gas prices for Californians, but only if implementation is taken very seriously after regulations are adopted.
Siva, you're going to take this seriously? Or you guys are, yeah. All right. Forgive me, I just want to acknowledge the seriousness of purpose.
Sure. So thanks for that. So one that I spoke with is particularly concerned about the lack of resources for the Division of Petroleum Market Oversight, and that this legislation doesn't specifically augment that division's budget. And I guess I'm wondering if that's something that you hope to revisit in the next few months, or if you see any concerns with that.
I'll just answer this by saying we'll do what needs to be done to make sure that we have the appropriate resources to make real the commitments we're promoting here today.
Thanks.
Absolutely. And